Right, hello and welcome to another Expert Inside interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP, online sales magazine, and Pipeliner CRM, joining you as usual from a sunny San Diego. And today I'm delighted to be joined all the way from Bulgaria. In fact, our first ever guest from Bulgaria, Kalin Karakehayov. And I got it right earlier, sorry.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just give us your last name again so everybody hears it properly.
Karakehayov.
Karakehayov, there you go. And you're a former professional chess player turned serial entrepreneur with 18 years of SEO experience. You reached international master status in 2017, reaching a world ranking of 822 with a grand master level rating of 2,508 ELO points. And in 2014, you started SEO Domains. The now employs 120 people, owns 200,000 domain names, and now you're an entrepreneur by heart. You've never had a real day job as such. And you have Grow Younger, a nonprofit initiative that reframes self-improvement concepts into a science-based knowledge system focused on the psychology of entrepreneurship. So after all that, what we're going to talk about today is the Grow Younger and the psychology of entrepreneurship. So, and first of all, what drove you to transition from professional chess into entrepreneurship? And what did your chess career teach you that helped you?
Not much, actually. Chess turned out to be very different.
Yeah.
Chess is very analytical. There's
Mhm.
a lot of calculating variations. Life is more intuitive, or at least as I understand it, the better, more fulfilling and more successful way of living life is very intuitive. In chess, intuition can only get you so far. If the opponent calculates better, they will win. But life is very wide. The width is unimaginable. So many choices, much more than in chess. So intuition is better at width. So I had to make a big transition from my analytical background, engineer parents, and math and science high school, and chess, to be able to grasp the width of life and live more intuitively. This took many years, but in the end, with the digital business where you can try a lot of different opportunities with a low cost, eventually I got there.
Yeah, and you never had a proper day job in your life. So what psychological traits do you think that you possess and that are essential for somebody to thrive in entrepreneurship?
I'm quite driven. Like, I'm not ambitious as in setting goals and stuff and punishing myself when I don't get there, but I'm quite driven. So I have this drive constantly in myself. It's kind of a biological thing, so not just probably partially genetics, but also the biology of always chasing something, what we call hunter mode in I Grow Younger, which is that you feel safe and you're looking in what areas to win rather than feel unsafe and look at what areas to not lose in.
Yeah, and you have shifted profit-driven business to what you call monumental nonprofit. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what drove this transition, and how does this transition relate, and how does it relate to your entrepreneurial identity?
Our business is extremely boring. We buy and sell domain names.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, this is as boring as it gets. If you want to be good at this, you just look at a list of domains and metrics and statistics all day long. There are some innovative ways. We have a innovative business model, if this can be called an innovation at all, but we take very small domain niches. So in this country, this type of domain or this price range may be undervalued by the market. We invest in it, try thousands of those basically.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, there's only so much you can do with domain names. I had a crisis of motivation 4 years ago. Basically, my life was the company was growing slowly, as in the domain space. This is the only speed you can get.
Sure. Right.
But I was not feeling very fulfilled, and I wanted something like categorically different. Wanted a challenge that was so big that I could never achieve it, and it will always be a journey. So I decided that I want to do something for the world, for other people. Psychology seemed to be the best choice because in psychology, if you win big. So like if you change this year of your life, maybe your whole life till the end of your life will be much better. So psychology seemed like a very high stakes area, which is good because wins are big wins. And also psychology seemed easier to change because if people believe that they can change pretty fast. Otherwise they can be stuck for years, but it's kind of either getting stuck or getting unstuck. And this was very intellectually stimulating for me because I was so curious, like what makes people unstuck, what makes them change and grow after spending years in the same place. So this is the main area that I Grow Younger help people with change.
Yeah, and you in your I Grow Younger framework, so you focus on unlearning, we call harmful concepts. Talk to me a little bit, and learning new ones. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, there's a lot of evolutionary biology in I Grow Younger, so we carry in our genes. We evolved when we were a tribe, so things like rejection meant like being cast out of the tribe and getting eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, stuff like this. Now, basic stuff. Now most people know about this, but the thing is not the reasoning behind why we are what we are, who we are, how we behave, but actually how do we make the change? So how do we trick the biology? Because biology is super powerful, but also super predictable. So if you understand it really well and have this intuitive feeling about this constant, not so powerful, but super constant biological force that drives you towards something, be it fear or something else that stands in your way, maybe you can construct an opposing force that will always protect you from the biological force and always just push you in the right direction. So push you away from addictions, push you away from your phone, because the self-help battle is something like, it's like a very slow, drawn-out war that continues 24/7 between you, all of the forces that try to bring you down. So it's the best and the worst thing about it is that you cannot run away from it. It's the worst because you're destined to have this struggle for the rest of your life, but it's also the best because actually the worst struggles are those that you have to wait for the struggle to begin. If you're an Olympic athlete and once every 4 years you have Olympics, this is super hard on mental health because all of this pressure is mounting and mounting and mounting. You can train, but you can only train so much. The real competition is once every 4 years. So this is tough. With the self-help, you can always do something right now. And by doing, you can give yourself the right signals and basically improve all the way. And I Grow Younger is about all of these small forces that are in play all of the time, how to understand them, how to feel them, and how to steer them into the right direction.
Yeah, and so you haven't lost your analytical days. You haven't left them totally behind you, have you? Because you have a mathematical formula for self-help effectiveness. How did you come up with that?
I observed a lot of people, a lot of my closest people, my friends, also observed all my past and how change happened with me. And it seems that like change doesn't happen until it does, and then it happens quite suddenly.
Yep.
That's very interesting. And I was like, what's this thing that clicks? And it turns out that it's quite connected to understanding and language. Once you understand something so deep that it becomes intuitive for you, then it clicks and it works. It becomes a part of your identity, can become quite quickly a part of your identity, and then everything is great. But until then, there is a very long period, years sometimes, when it doesn't click. And why does this happen? And we blame language, just every language, just the way that the brain processes language. We think that the structure of life and the structure of language did not evolve in good synchronicity, because language evolved a long time ago. Modern life evolved very recently. The brain center for language is incapable of processing very complex words as very complex concepts. So work, business, relationships, super complex thing. One of our core theories, which is something that we came up with, it's not got from another place, is that when you hear a word that is very complex in its relationship in language, words like work and business and relationship, the brain is just so overloaded with firing connections in all possible directions, because work and relationship, they're connected to everything.
Yes.
So the neurons just fire too much, and the brain has, of course, protective mechanism. If something is threatening to overload the brain, it just shuts down the process. So if every time you hear the word work, the brain shuts down the process, it's impossible to build intuition about it. So that there's no depth ever. And this, I think, is a main reason why the most cornerstone topics of life, like work, money, relationships, people are the most irrational about. So they spend so much time thinking and talking about these topics, but they are much more irrational about this than about like other stuff that no one teaches them, and they just pick them through life.
Yeah. And so in your framework, you distinguish between the game of self and the game of life. So explain what you mean by the game of self and the game of life, and how does that impact your entrepreneurial journey and your decision-making criteria?
So this is quite common in psychology, in therapy, in cognitive behavioral therapy. You try to separate every problem into two parts. Basically, the internal part, how it makes you feel, the damage it causes if it's a problem, and the external part, which is subjectivity. Do I understand the driving forces? If you have a nasty boss at work, the game of life approach will be to go to his manager and say, well, my boss, my manager is being mean to me for no apparent reason. Can we do something about it? While the game of self approach will be try to just ignore it and do your work and not cause additional damage. So always different approaches needed in the game of self and game of life. This is very like fundamental to all psychology, but it's not very innovative. We just included it because it's very important. Some people still don't understand it, despite it being pretty obvious. The more interesting division that we introduce, that is not something new, is the boxes and flows division.
Right.
This one is really, I think, critical to modern life, because the two hemispheres of the brain are equipped to either understand the world,
Right.
and the world is always in motion, so we always understand the world in motion. So where
Yeah.
does it go?
So it's dynamic.
Awareness, yes, dynamics. This is the right hemisphere, and then the left hemisphere, which evolved hundreds of millions of years ago to catch food. It's about manipulating life, so it sees life more statically and sees life in processes and its focus and basically what you need to do something to build a process. So this sounds kind of symmetrical, but in
Yeah.
fact it's not, because the right hemisphere sees the big picture and understands that the brain needs them both, but the left hemisphere says, I'm enough, I'm
Right.
enough to process the world, so I don't need you, and constantly tries to subvert the right hemisphere, and this creates an imbalance, which in modern life is even more strengthened by our education system, which is very logic based. By the way, our world is very structured, and just the experience of living in boxes and driving in boxes, like everything in the world is a box.
Yeah.
We have lost this awareness about the invisible stuff. And by I don't mean like spiritual or whatever, just there's a lot of invisible stuff because you cannot define it. Stuff like intuition, creativity, curiosity. It's very hard to define, but it's still there and it's a driving force.
Yeah.
So we focus a lot on the invisible stuff because this is what brings not only happiness and joy, but also a lot of the building blocks for success. You cannot be very successful if you're not intuitive, if you're not creative, and this is invisible. So how do we optimize for the invisible? And this is a large part of what I Grow Younger does. It optimizes for the things that we cannot really measure.
Yeah. What about your own decision making process? Because I mean, you've made hundreds and thousands of your investment decisions, like buying domains, etc., and all that. What has your decision making process, or how you decide to take action, has that evolved over the years?
Yes, into a more intuitive direction. But intuition is not magic. It's just a lot of data points and experience. So the more experience you have in an area, the better intuition you build. We have an interesting approach to intuition. We divide it into three areas, three types of intuition: intuition about structures, intuition about quantities, and intuition about network systems. So intuition about structures, pretty obvious. So structural engineer, software developer, software architect, they need to have this intuition, abstract thought, and so on. Intuition about quantities is about how much things influence other things. So like if two people are talking and one person is annoying the other, like when does the other person reaches a breaking point where they punch in the face or something? So,
Yeah.
all of this is intuition about human
Who you're talking
relationship.
to.
They're all about quantities.
Uh-huh.
So when do these influences reach breaking points? When the system changes. Business is also a lot about quantities, because money is a quantity, time is a quantity, all of the other types of value are some quantities. So intuition about quantities is very important in relationships between people, in group dynamics, and in business. But the intuition about network systems is also very important, because a human is a network system between many different moving parts, some physical, some psychological, and one part influences a lot of the other parts, directly or indirectly. Basically, the processes that go into a human when a good or bad or anything happens are like waves. They influence one input point and then influence a lot of things inside. So the intuition about network systems is about those waves. Do they die out, or do they hit some positive feedback loop of the good or bad kind, and then basically something big happens?
Yeah. Do you think that we have when you talk about, I mean, obviously educated intuition, right? But it seems that a lot of people have kind of pushed intuition to the side, because they become so like data driven, and so wanting everything to have, to come from some data source, and they don't trust their own intuition as much.
Yes, I have this dilemma constantly in my work. So we have a lot of data about past sales and all of this. And if I just spend my day in Excel sheets and do something with the data, probably we can optimize our investment decisions a bit. But the thing is that when the market changes and we have a new market, which happens constantly, even if not completely, in different
Yeah.
countries, different types of domains, then if I outsourced my decision making to the Excel or the software, then I cannot adapt well to the new situation. And I think that like data and boxes belong to the past. So it's very good to analyze in the past and the present, but the intuition is extremely important for the future. And the faster changing the situation is, the more you have to rely on intuition, because there will never be good enough data for the new situation. And since a business is quite a fast moving, adaptive organism, I think that some people are over emphasizing on data and under emphasizing on intuition in business.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. And then one last question. I sort of saved a big existential question for the end here. um, so, what impact is AI going to have on the psychology of humans, especially in business and entrepreneurship?
Uh, I see businesses as like a lot of flows interflowing, so incoming, outgoing flows of different types of value. AI is bringing the cost of one of the types of values, which is content, to zero, which surely would break some equations and lead to different models and different systems. Unfortunately, I think that it's very dangerous for the internet, because in capitalism, when the cost of something reaches zero, the quantity can reach infinity, which means infinite spam across the internet. So SEO, social media, everything will have infinite just bullshit content. This is, I think, a major danger for the internet. It's starting to happen already. It was starting to happen even before AI. The
Sure.
internet, way too much content, but now it's going overboard, obviously. So the economic repercussions are absolutely, we can be sure that they're going to happen. So the psychological ones, I think that so many people who don't have access to therapy or not enough therapy, using ChatGPT as their personal therapist, will have good and bad outcomes. So ChatGPT is nice to talk to, and if it can make someone feel less lonely, that's a great start. But then if someone is a narcissist and psychopath, and ChatGPT is very user friendly, they will probably not tell them this to their face. So definitely not the perfect therapist, because it's a bit of a yes man.
Yeah.
Not the perfect type, but again, um, as a broad foundation for people sharing, and people are very much willing to share with AI, because it's not a person, that there's not the same tension. And
Yeah,
so
which is an interesting psychological thing in itself, is that people would prefer to talk to a machine rather
yes,
than talk to a person. I mean, that's that is a psychological shift.
yes, this was proven even before AI, when they
Mhm.
had like stupid chatbots, people would
Mm.
still share to them more than they would
Yeah.
with humans.
Yeah. Which for me, that's probably one of the most interesting things, because at the same time, it's running contrary to a kind of trend where people are looking for more connection. They're looking, especially post COVID, more human element connection. But at the same time, they're starting to sort of, move towards AI and talking to machines and stuff. So it's kind of like almost like they're in conflict. These different forces.
Yes. I'm a big Time Left user. This is an app that matches you every Wednesday to have dinner with strangers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that this app is so loved and so used. Basically, people have lost the energy to organize themselves into dinners. It's kind of sad that they would need an app for that. But
Mhm.
it's very nice, because it's with strangers and you meet new people.
Yeah, that's excellent. Well, listen, Kalin, this has been fantastic. All of Kalin's information will be below this video. But before we go, please do remind people about what you do.
Well,
Mhm.
I buy and sell domains, hopefully not for life, but I'm changing the language in which we understand self-help and psychology, and I hope this will be my life's mission.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, it's a great undertaking. Totally well worth it and well needed. So well done on that. Thank you, Kalin. Thank you for watching and listening. I'll see you all again very soon. Thank you.